I want to talk about why you hate your child so much and how you have absolutely zero photographic evidence of me growing up as a youth wearing costumes for Halloween. This morning, I text my mother, my lovely, sweet mom, who I would be nothing without. And I say, hey, mama, I love you so much. That's how I start.
You didn't say any of that.
That's how I start every single text message to you. Hey, mama.
I wish you did. Hey, mama, I wish I love you so much.
Love you so much.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, can you send me some Halloween photos of myself growing up?
Yeah.
Period. Not the Superman one. We already used that. The first photo I get, not of me. It's of Deb. Okay, so that's photo.
It's the only evidence that I ever wore a costume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the first photo. The second photo that you send me is of myself, my girlfriend, and our friend Alyssa in no way Halloween themed. It's just a photo of us.
I just ran into it. So here's the thing. Like, that was, oh my gosh, how many years ago was that?
That's
the three of
not
you looked
a
amazing.
Halloween. Deb, of course we looked amazing. We were 19.
Yeah, you looked great. Okay.
Not a Halloween photo.
Yeah.
The third photo that she sends is the photo that we've referenced on this podcast where I'm sitting in front of a bale of hay with pumpkins and a scarecrow behind me. And I look like I'm going to burn the entire neighborhood down.
He needs to post it because he's so freaking cute in that picture.
The fourth photo she sends isn't even from her photos. It's from my Instagram, and it's of myself, John Beebe, and John's roommate in college with weird pink hair from like one of our spirit days at college. Not even Halloween themed.
But I found the photo originally. It was my find.
That doesn't do anything because it's not Halloween themed.
But it could have been. It could have been, for sure.
The fifth photo she sends is just me in my karate outfit.
But
I did karate as a real thing, and you sent it to me as if it was a joke costume.
One year you asked to wear your karate outfit.
This is
for
lies.
Halloween.
This is lies.
And so I thought, there's a good picture of you. Yeah.
Is this the sixth photo? The sixth photo you send is the photo I said, please don't send at the beginning. It's me in the Superman outfit. Okay.
Okay.
Now here's some. She didn't send a couple of these photos. She tries to now lie her way out of being a terrible mother. She comes downstairs and she's got hard copies of photos in her hands, and she shows me. She's like, "Oh, look, this was a Halloween photo, and it's myself and a bunch of the neighborhood kids trying to bite apples hanging from a tree.
Bobbing apples. Fall.
But it was not
Halloween.
bobbing for apples. They were hanging from a tree. And I look at her and I said, that's not Halloween. That's from a block party.
In the summertime.
In the summer, middle of July. So I'm sitting here, and the listening audience wants to know as well, why do you hate your son so much that you didn't catalog any of his childhood?
Okay. We have so many pictures from your childhood. It is ridiculous. But I can tell you this. There are two photos. Now, the Superman photo, you're probably about 3 or 4 years old.
Looking thick.
Well, because,
I was a little chunk.
Okay, here was the whole thing. We argued and argued. I bought you some unremarkable costume that year that you said you wanted, but when it came time to put it on, you were having none of it because you hate costumes. So I said, Kevin, the neighbors are going to go trick-or-treating. Like, come on. And I said, what are you going to wear? And you said, my clothes, which was always the answer. So then I went and got those were pajamas that you slept in, though we normally didn't have the cape attached. And so I said, what about your pajamas? And then you can come straight home and go to bed. Well, the reason, which
Brilliant.
You thought was a great idea, but the reason you look thick is because
I was chubby.
No, you were never chubby. Is because you probably had on like long underwear and stuff because it was Halloween. It was freezing. Look, you have little red gloves on.
I do.
I mean, so like then there's that picture. And then many Halloweens went by after that. Kevin, what do you want to be? I don't want to be anything. Kevin, I just want to wear my clothes. Can't I just wear my clothes? You would be the kid. And there's one in every group that just has like his sweatshirts and jeans on and goes and holds his bag out. no outfit until, and we can't find the picture, but I do know exists, and I will find it one of these years. I have a picture of you as Dracula.
Yeah, oh yeah.
With face makeup.
That exists somewhere in this house.
And you look like you're going to burst out sobbing any second. Kevin, those were the 2 times.
Yeah.
Now, as an adult, you appear to like costumes.
Well, and the weird thing about that Dracula photo was that was from last year.
Yeah, right.
So I just want to point out that as a parent, your responsibility is to force your child to do things that they otherwise don't want to do. And if you couldn't get me to put on Dracula paint, which is fair because even today I think about like putting on clown makeup and it gives me a cold shiver. Not anything to do with clowns. I just don't like putting on like that type of thick distortion makeup. But could you not have just bought me like a construction outfit?
Kevin, I bought you everything. One year we bought you a construction outfit and a tool belt. One year I said to you, hey, why don't you wear your jeans and a flannel shirt, which you owned? Those were clothes. And we'll just put a tool belt and a construction hat on you. And you cried. You wanted nothing to do with it.
I don't believe that I cried. No, here's the fact.
Oh my God. And then it would have been wrestling you to the ground.
I definitely remember crying in the downstairs bathroom about Dracula and having more or less a full-blown panic attack about that. I don't know why. Yeah. I did not like that. I did not like the alteration to my face. I think I was young enough to think that version of me is a killer version of me and it's going to kill me if I go outside or something along those lines. But I refuse to believe that I wouldn't wear flannel.
Kevin, here was the whole thing about the Dracula deal. The Dracula deal, all you wore was the cape, the cape that stands up. Nothing. You wore a little black turtleneck, your pants.
I thought it was a white turtleneck.
Oh, maybe it was a white turtleneck, but a turtleneck. I mean, your clothes were under. So it's literally a cape.
Yeah.
And the deal was, let's do the makeup because it's not a costume.
True.
That was the deal we negotiated. Then you saw yourself in the mirror.
Freaked out.
And all hell broke loose.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I remember very much not liking that at all. That version of Kevin, Vampire Kevin, was an unwelcome guest in the house, just like most vampires are. But I would like to say this, and those of you who are watching our YouTube feed will understand. I'm the only person on this podcast who's currently wearing a Halloween costume.
That's not true.
Oh, what are you wearing, Deb?
So I'm wearing the costume that I've worn every year since you were 3 years old.
A white woman that just got back from Mexico.
Look.
Oh, the spider earrings.
I have the spider earrings
And
on.
what does the costume actually mean when you say that you're wearing spider earrings?
So now, here's the thing. I'm not a big costume person.
Clearly, because I'm the only one wearing one.
And so every year I would put these spider earrings on as a token towards a costume.
Okay.
So they're over 30 years old. I've kept them. I've held on to them. I've never lost them. It's a good spider. You have to admit, right? Can you see it, Kev?
Yeah, Deb, I got it.
Okay,
I've seen him for 30 years.
Yeah. So when I saw you in that stupid jumpsuit,
okay, first off,
I ran up and scrambled through my jewelry box really quick to find the spiders to put them on. So I'm ready too.
I am wearing an orange, I want to say like 60s era astronaut jumpsuit, which funny enough, if you unzip it and you wear a wife beater and then you take it off the shoulders and you just tie the arms around your waist, you just look like a prisoner. So this outfit works on 2 levels, especially if it gets a little hot. But I'm just really disappointed that you didn't get the email from production that said we're dressing up for Halloween.
Here's the only other outfit I have upstairs. And I broke down and did this at some event I was at a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So it was like an 80s thing, right? Come as an 80s thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what is 80s? Is it Olivia Newton-John in a workout headband?
Yeah, big hair and cocaine is what.
Big hair, yeah. So I didn't want to go buy a sweatshirt. You know how they used to cut the sweatshirts?
Oh, for the long shoulder?
For the long shoulder.
Yeah.
So here's what I did. Only sweatshirt I owned at that time. It said Harvard Business School on the front of it. And
she likes to party, but she's smart.
And it had a hood. So I just cut the hood off, which makes it off the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then I went and bought a hot pink headband.
Ooh.
And hot pink earrings.
Nice.
Hot pink sweatbands on my arms. A hot pink little thing underneath. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then just leggings and the sweatshirt. And lots of makeup, right? Because it was the 80s and my hair was teased out really, really big. Now, Here's the thing about that.
Okay.
I thought I looked like $1 million when I left the hotel room to go down for the party. But guess what? I got so much crap because the sweatshirt said Harvard Business School.
Oh, yeah. Nobody went to Harvard in the 80s.
I mean, it was like, and so upstairs, I said, to heck with all these people. I don't care. And I took everything and I folded it up, including my Harvard Business School sweatshirt. I'm saving it for the next time I have to wear a costume with all the little hot pink stuff. And I'm going to do it again. I don't care. They said it was a contradiction. I don't believe it. I think there were smart girls in the 80s looking really cute like Olivia Newton-John.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Let's start the podcast.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Fresh from her trip to Mexico and smuggled back in a crate full of coffee beans, it's my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb.
And upon her return, I removed her face from all the milk cartons. I'm her son, Kev, and this is our podcast. As a reminder, Narcos Mexico Season 3 premieres this Friday, November 5th on Netflix. And happy Dia de los Muertos to all of our friends south of the border, because this episode is premiering on November 1st.
Oh, nice.
On today's show, we are officially halfway through the competition, and we will recap all the baking dramatics from this week's Great British Bake Off. And during her business segment, Deb will speak fluent Spanish to all of us and then talk to us about the questions you should ask your boss at your new job. And we have 3 new Halloween-themed questions for Dear Debbie. Really nothing to do with business, but it's Halloween, so we're going to ask questions about it. And like a Chipotle employee with a carne asada burrito, we'll wrap this episode up with what we are thankful for and what's for dinner. But first, Deb, I don't know if you know this. The pandemic's over. The pandemic's over. I don't think you're aware that I've declared the pandemic over.
Oh, you've declared it
It's
over.
officially over. I'm wearing an astronaut's outfit, and the pandemic is over because for the first time in over 18 months, the Zeners have 2-ply toilet paper.
Ah, we do.
We did it. We did it, everybody.
Were
Congratulations. We did it. We have toilet paper that is not closer related to sandpaper than to actual toilet paper.
So this should be a little piece of data that everybody should hold on to in case it's ever a piece of trivia they need. A family of 3 takes 18 months to go through, now with 3 bathrooms, family of 3, 18 months to go through 88 rolls of toilet paper. Single ply. It
felt religious. It felt like Jesus had worked a miracle in the worst way possible. You just kept going down into the basement and you kept grabbing endless rolls of toilet paper from this monster box that was shipped 18 months ago. And you'd grab 10 and you'd grab 20. And every time you'd go back there, it was at the same level. And you just wondered when this nightmare, this reverse miracle nightmare was going to end. It has officially ended. And this is not because we weren't trying. We would go to Costco, and typically you and I go to Costco Tuesday nights, and it's just because there's nobody there. It's much easier to get around.
Note, it's dead in Reno, Nevada on Tuesday nights.
But we would go, and we would try to go get toilet paper, and it was always sold out, always sold out, always sold out. So I eventually looked at the guy, and I said, dude, what is happening with the toilet paper? And he said, somebody somewhere on some news channel said something about a shortage of toilet paper, and all of this stuff is gone by like 11 o'clock in the morning, which is insane because Costco opens at 10.
Right.
So when I dropped you off at the airport for your 7-month excursion, I then stopped by Costco because it was early enough in the morning, and I grabbed it, and I felt so unbelievably accomplished.
Like
and
it was a win. It
was a huge win. My entire body rejoiced, and I gave everybody their own 6-pack of toilet paper because Christmas came early.
When I finally got home, thank you again for taking my luggage upstairs.
Yeah.
And I go into the bathroom, and there's the giant 6-pack, says Kirkland on it, and I went, you won. Good job, Kev.
I had to knife a couple people to get it.
Of course you did.
But I mean, I could not be happier. And my rear could not be happier.
If you cut somebody with a box cutter at Costco getting toilet paper, it's completely legit.
That's just a work hazard.
That's just that's not, nobody even pays attention to that. That's a no big deal.
All right, Deb, you have about 5 minutes to fill if you want about anything since you've been gone. You were gone for 10 days. You were in Pennsylvania. You were in
New York City.
You were in Mexico. Is there anything of note that happened that you think the listening audience needs to know about? And if you don't, I got the 5 minutes in my back pocket.
So Pennsylvania was great. I love the people that I see there, but I was really being a little bit of a baby about this because I had to take the train from Pennsylvania into New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And I have taken trains before. I've taken subways and all that.
When was the last time you took the train?
That's my point. A long time ago. Okay. And it's not, I mean, you really go, there's only a couple stops, right? But, I've got the boot, I've got the luggage. I just get like, oh, is it all going to be okay? So got on the train, and my client was nice enough to put me in business class.
Wow.
Which was lovely.
Trains have business class?
Trains have business class.
Oh,
who knew?
Okay.
And everything is very, very calm, and nobody sits next to each other in business class. Apparently, nobody's buying the business class tickets for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you are on the train from Pennsylvania to Penn Station in New York,
we call that route the Penn to Penn.
Okay, so
or Penn Squared.
So there's the club car that has drinks and snacks.
Did you imbibe?
Well, all the drinks are free. The conductor came back and said, help yourself to drinks in the club car if you're in business class. Is
it no different than the flight attendants being able to bring you endless booze in first class?
That's probably true, except you do have to get up and go into the club car. Okay. So, you have to go through the train, the two train cars.
What time were you on the train?
I got on at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, so it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, and so I didn't imbibe in alcohol, but I did imbibe in a free drink. And then my only time, and I think I sent you a picture, and I sent my friend in Pennsylvania a picture, is when we stopped in Trenton, New Jersey. Clearly, I don't know my geography, but I might have sent a picture with a circle around the Trenton, New Jersey thing saying, what the heck am I supposed to be in New Jersey? And the answer is, yes, you are. You do go.
You were worried.
I was worried
Got it.
Well, because here's what happened. We got into Philly. The train, I was outside of Philadelphia.
Yep.
The train pulls into Philly. That train was going forward. The car that I was in, all the seats faced one direction. But then it backed out of the station at Philly, and I thought it was only backing out.
Train was going backwards. You were a little worried.
It went backwards the entire time.
Oh, like it took the track in the opposite direction.
Yes.
Got it.
So that threw me off just a little bit.
Got it.
And then I'm like, oh no, I'm on the New Jersey train. But as it turns out, Penn Station is beautiful. I got off. It was all very, very simple, very, very easy. Got an Uber to the hotel, and it was terrific. Now, here's the thing about New York City. I love New York City.
Uh-huh.
I love pretending that I could live in New York City.
Sure.
I love grabbing a cab. I love going down to your great little coffee place. I mean, I stay across the street twice now. I've stayed across the street from Bryant Park, and there might be 4 coffee places that are fabulous and none of them are Starbucks before you hit the end of the block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you grab your car, and then it takes you to where you're going. I love all of that. Could I live in New York City?
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's too much. It is too much. I stayed in a great hotel. The windows are pretty much soundproof, but still you hear sirens and people and garbage trucks. It's a lot all the time.
Here's how I know I couldn't live in New York City. I have a personal vendetta against the dogs in this neighborhood, and it's just dogs. That is literally my only noise complaint in this neighborhood is dogs. So couple that with the idea that it's dogs and sirens and people and whatever sounds happen at an ungodly hour in New York City, I would maybe last 10 days before I became a sewer person, just a street urchin, just living below ground.
I get it. I mean, I will say I had dinner at the Bryant Park Grill one night. Outside, there were probably 300 people outside eating. It was like 70-some degrees. It was fabulous. It felt like, the perfect fall evening, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was great when I was there. I have no complaints at all. Mexico City was terrific. Had great, I don't know the Mexican name for what I had. I had the deep fried quesadilla where they're closed. They're...
Empanadas?
No. It's just they take a corn tortilla.
Chimichanga.
And they either put mashed potatoes inside or cheese inside.
Burrito.
Maybe it's just called a deep fried quesadilla.
Taco.
Deep fried quesadilla.
Got it.
Super, super good. Really good. Loved those. But what's not great that's deep fried?
Facts.
Yeah.
Well, that was a whirlwind story. Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah.
And you and I will be back in Mexico in a couple weeks because we're going for a wedding. And I am super duper excited because this is supposed to be the wedding of all weddings.
Apparently, it is the wedding of all weddings, though we now know that we're going to a wedding next year at this time as well that may really be the wedding of all weddings.
Here's what I need for everybody involved is Deb and I need to have a Mexico wedding on the calendar for the end of time. We need to make more friends with younger children so that we can properly space out weddings at a 1-year interval for the next 30 years.
I agree. 100%.
We need to go get on Bumble Mexico Friend Finder. And our stipulation is friends of a certain age who have kids who all sync up to the years.
So that we can put it on our calendar and look forward to it.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Exactly. All right, Deb, you know what time it is.
It's that special love me time.
All right. As you guys remember last week, Deb was in Mexico and could not watch Great British Bake Off. So I did my best job to retell it. Did you actually watch the episode?
I did. And I want to tell you.
Gut-wrenching. Absolutely gutted, mate.
Gut-wrenching. So here's what I want to say. There is this little baby wave. I'm not going to say it's a tsunami, but it starts in Florida of people that watch on Friday when they release the Great British Bake Off, and then it moves across the country. And I start getting texts. Have you watched it? Have you watched it? Oh, my God. Have you watched it? No one ever gives it away. They just give little like, I cried. Get your hanky ready. Things like that are about to come. So I kind of love that. And then it reminds me, of course, that I need to watch it on Friday night. But I'm kind of worried about, have Friday nights turned into all of us watching the Great British Bake Off? That's kind of boring for all of you young people, isn't it?
Oh, that was nice. I'm 37.
Well, for all the young people.
All right. It is week 6 in the tent, which means we're halfway through. There are 7 contestants left.
How many?
7. There's 7 of them. Yeah, okay. Because what happens was 6. 7 contestants left. And it is pastry week. Pastry week is an interesting week on GBBO because it can really be any nationality, any kind. And I think because it's pastry dough a lot of the time, it's like you either have it or you don't.
Yep.
And I'll say this about this episode. Pretty much for 2/3 of it, every single person had it. It was very close. And it's what I kept saying to you last week when I was describing the episode to you. It felt like everybody was within like a notch of one another, give or take. It felt like everybody was super duper close, like nobody was running away with it. And that's what this felt like. So the signature bake was 2 batches of decorated shoe nuts, fried. 6 of them were filled and 6 of them were glazed. Deb, tell us about shoe nuts.
So a shoe nut looks a little bit like, it looks like a donut.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of I'm going to say a cruller donut because they're piped, right? But it's shoe dough, which is that airy dough, right?
A Claire dough.
Yes. And so it's really pliable, meaning like you can put it in a pastry bag and do something with it. But here's the thing. As I say, it's really pliable. It's got to be hold together enough. If it's too wet, disaster. And then if it's too dry and holds together too much, then the end product isn't what you actually want it to be. So there's a fine medium there.
I think, listen, as somebody who doesn't eat gluten, I'll eat a donut every day. I miss donuts. I love donuts. Yeah. Like you said, who doesn't like something that's fried and then add sugar onto that fried thing and it's even better.
Best. I
think these things, if done well, are probably better than American donuts.
Oh, for sure. Because, if it's kind of the difference of this, I know there are people that love American cake donuts, right? Which we know the consistency of those. And then there's the people that love the raised donut, right? Now, I'm going to say raised donuts probably win overall.
Yeah. The puffy ones, the ones that are like genuinely fried.
But I want to take this to another level because picture the raised donut with a true crispy edge to it.
Churro. It looks like a churro on the outside.
Yes. So there's more of a texture thing going on while still deep fried and airy in the middle. Do you know what I mean? You get it's not solid like a cake donut. So I'm with you. I mean, I think a chew net, it could be the thing.
I have this written down in my notes. Can you please do a Lizzie impersonation for us?
Ta?
Yeah, okay, but do a real Lizzie impersonation for us.
I don't know if I can do a real Lizzie.
You just got to kind of
pitch your nose like this, and she's from Liverpool.
Shit. Lizzie's from Liverpool. See, I can't do it.
You can't do the English.
I can't do the English.
I am so infatuated with her accent.
Well, Lizzie, I didn't think would last at all, and boy, has Lizzie hung in there. I mean, and I love her now. If I would have this Lizzie, I would have picked for sure. In fact, maybe we didn't give ourselves a second pick this year, did we?
There is no second pick.
Yeah, Lizzie would be mine at this point.
I like that she gets better the more down on herself she gets. And even Prue said, she's like, I used to think you had to love to bake. And Lizzie, you are a constant reminder that that's not the case. She says something along those lines. And it's because she laments every single challenge. Mm-hmm. She thinks she sucks at every single challenge. And for the last 3 weeks, she's been like upper middle of the road the entire time.
Well, because I think in her element, Lizzie is, and what actually Paul said in the very beginning, is kind of rustic, huh, Lizzie? I mean, meaning like fine pastries probably really are not her deal. And that's a big part of GBBO. But one of the things that I love, and I actually looked it up, that Lizzie says all the time, because it's like, ta, she just says it, listen for it all the time. T-A, ta. And so I looked it up, and it said the infantile version of thank you that most people disregard as they mature.
Not Lizzie.
But not Lizzie. Lizzie still says it now. I love it every time she says it. And I do believe, I don't think it's fake. I want to say this. I don't think it's fake, her deprecating things she does. I think the thing seriously makes her nervous. Like, I don't know about this. Yeah. Yeah. And I also think she's like this. If she doesn't eat it in real life, meaning if it's not like a shop where she would go, buy something like that or make it at home, then she just doesn't even get it. It's like, I don't know why.
I agree with you 100%. So at the top, we had just the straight up dudes. We had Jurgen, Chigs, Giuseppe, and then they were very complimentary of Lizzie, so I threw her name in here. And then kind of at the bottom, we had Amanda and Christelle, and that got me a little worried because I thought they're not really saying anything bad about anybody's in particular. The one real criticism with Christelle was that it kind of fell a little, which means it didn't last in the fryer long enough. And I said to you, if I lose Freya one week and we lose Christelle the next, I will quit GBBO. I will stop watching the show. It's too traumatic for me as a viewer if I lose both of those women in a row.
I agree. Well, they're significant. If it would have been Amanda, you probably would have been okay.
Sure.
But not Christelle, and really even not Lizzie at this point for me, because I'm cheering for her. So the thing with Christelle is, though, they did say she made a funny kind of odd passion fruit glaze, and Prue said it was fabulous.
Umami.
Yeah.
So for the technical, they had to make a balaclava. Is that how they say it? Baklava? They say
baklava. They say it's baklava, but they say it so different.
Baklava.
I think it was baklava.
Something like that.
Yeah.
A baklava star cake. And I looked at you and I said, this might be the hardest technical challenge we've ever watched on this show. Who makes their own phyllo dough?
So I have made baklava. Our good friend Franny is Greek, and every Christmas she makes baklava and gives it to all of her friends, and it's some of the best baklava I've ever had in my life.
Agreed.
Now, Fran did make me one year make it with, go through it so I would learn kind of how to do it. I've never approached it since. I think it's like, Franny does it right. Why should I make it? I can just call Fran and ask for baklava, right? I mean, she's Greek. Shouldn't it be in her house somewhere? So I know how hard it is to make baklava, just meaning it's tedious. And that's with store-bought dough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the dough is already made for you. This thing, the two things that made it the hardest was that they had to make the dough, the filo dough, homemade, which just was mind-boggling to me.
Mind-boggling.
When you think about how thin.
Now, to be fair, we thought they were making individual sheets, which would have been the consistency of paper, which would have been impossible.
Because that's what we use.
Right. Instead, they did the folding, rolling, which makes far more sense for the challenge. But even still, you need to have like 10 layers of phyllo on the bottom part of the cake and the upper part of the cake.
Right.
And it needs to be cooked.
Well, and what makes it even harder, like they could have never gotten the paper thin like we get at the store to bake with. But what that has to do, it's kind of like you do that same technique with a croissant.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has to bake and separate in perfect layers. And you never know if it's going to happen until. The other thing they did was the shape was so unbelievably intricate. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
They had to carve the top they called it a star. It's a very ornate star, clearly just not the star that we're used to with the 5 points. It was a very intricate star. And my note was, every single person was confused about the star pattern, minus Jürgen.
Of course, because
Jürgen started spitting out numbers, and he's like, I don't get it. He's like, it's just this is all it is.
No, he said, like, what he said is, they gave us a 20-inch star, it's a 30-inch pan, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something like that.
Bing, bang, boom.
And of course, he had his physics rulers and his triangles and all of his things there, that nobody would think to bring to a baking show.
And it made sense to me as an astronaut because I'm an engineer too.
Right.
So then the only other note was Lizzie put hers in the oven and did not set a timer, which is not good when you're baking things.
Yeah.
So the results that came out, Lizzie was last, followed by George, Amanda, Giuseppe, Chigs. Christelle redeemed herself in second place, and then my boy Jörg got first because he just approached it mathematically, and apparently it made sense to him.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was clearly okay with Jürgen, and Chigs was fine too, and probably Giuseppe, but still half of the participants were pretty much up for elimination at that point. And I was happy with Christelle, but I thought like it's going to come down to the signature or the showstopper, and anybody that does poorly on the showstopper is pretty much going home. That's what I thought in my head.
Right.
So the showstopper was a terrine pie with ornate decoration on top and a well-established pattern inside. There is nothing in my mind more English or maybe European than a pie filled with meat.
So we have, I'm going to say the American version of let's call it a chicken pot pie.
Totally.
Right? So there's crust on the bottom. There's a filling, which I'm going to say is certainly slapdash compared to the way the English do it, right?
Oh, for the chicken pot pie?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then
Slapdash? I've never heard that.
Haven't you?
Never.
Okay. Do you get it though?
I mean, like haphazardly.
Yeah.
Just kind of thrown together.
We just get put it in,
Yeah.
right, and it'll work.
Sometimes I just wake up in the morning and I slapdash.
Exactly. And so a lot of times it'll be a lattice crust, and that's really to let the steam off of the filling.
Yep.
But sometimes people do a full crust, and then they put little holes, in the middle so that the steam, can come out. This, however, is art.
Insane.
This is a whole different
This is
deal.
so intense.
Yeah.
What would you fill your terrine with?
Well, I will tell you the two that appealed to me when they were describing them.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing, and this would be a texture thing for me. People tend to lean into a almost a pate kind of thing.
Big time.
That's the English way, I'm sure, and I'm sure that's the right way, if there's a right or wrong. Honestly, if I were doing it, I loved the idea of the Christmas flavor that I think George did.
Which was what? What did he have in it?
Some kind of pork or something, but I didn't really like the ingredients.
Okay.
So I would think it was risky to put bacon in like some people did.
Because all the fat rendering out?
The fat rendering out, the bacon's never going to be crisp. It's going to be soft. So I wouldn't do that. I think I would do some kind of really good spicy sausage filling with maybe like some little diced potatoes in there. Do you know what I mean? But I want something with big flavor, like a big, I don't know, like lots of good herbaceous kind of feeling with a hint of heat. I mean, I think that's what I would do. But I also probably wouldn't mind tossing a dried cranberry or two in there so you have a little element of sweet. I mean, that whole Christmas thing was attractive to me when he said that.
I get that. I like that a lot. And true to form, it came down to the showstopper, and it was the showstopper that was the differentiator in who was safe and who was going home. At one point, I was on my knees, face buried in the couch, because George pulled his terrine out of the oven to trim it, to put it back in.
And it was already hard. You can't trim hard dough. It just flakes off.
He and Amanda mismanaged their time so bad that other people had their terrines in the freezer for like 30 minutes, and they hadn't even taken theirs out yet. I don't know how you can have that large of a discrepancy time-wise. That makes no sense to me.
So one of the things that should be noted, if we talk about an American chicken pot pie, it's literally in a round dish always, and a shallow dish. So this is just the opposite in England. They're going to make it super hard for you. It's in mostly, except for Giuseppe, in a narrow, very narrow.
Thin rectangular
dish that's rather deep. And it can easily go wrong because of the structure. You've got so much in such a thick, dense place and what happens is the pan they cook it in, the sides come apart. It all breaks down.
It's like an erector set, how they assemble it.
It is like an erector set, yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't even, like, we're okay if we cut our chicken pot pie and stuff falls out. In this case, you never want that to happen. You want to cut it and the slice stays together.
Perfectly uniform.
And Paul made a point of saying that that's how he wanted it.
So everybody minus Amanda and George is able to get their terrine out of their pan. They disassemble it. Some have some cracks. They patch it up like Christelle and Chigs. But for the most part, everybody handles it extremely well. Then there's George and Amanda. George takes his apart, and he doesn't even take the bottom bracket off of the pie tin because he can't. He thinks it's too soft, that it's all just going to come flushing out. And then there's Amanda, who, for some ungodly reason, the top of her pie has enveloped the top of the cake pan, right?
It's gone over the edges.
She picks it up. Like, I think she detached the bottom and she picks it up, and the top of the pie, which is now clearly attached to the tin, rips off.
Yeah.
And now she's just holding it. She's like, it's halfway on, halfway off, and she's just holding it. And my face is buried in the couch. Izzy thinks I'm dying. My face is buried in the couch.
This was like watching Kevin watch a football game.
And I don't even like Amanda. I don't care about her. Yeah. And I'm just being like, what are we doing? And Chigs, being the awesome human being that he is, comes over, he says, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? And they figure out how to get it back on.
Yep.
So at least it's resting on top, and they disassemble it. At that point, she takes off one side, and the side just completely falls open. But I will say this, the fact that thing was still standing is nothing short of amazing to me.
I will say this too, and this is to all, and I know they're all listening to us, to all the future participants of GBBO.
Yes.
Fake it until you make it, because I will tell you this, they both put little props.
Yep.
And like, she turned her piece that was falling away from them when she presented it to him. They didn't seem to speak to it at the time. I mean, he had literally left one piece of the pan attached as well as the bottom, and then had a knife block holding it until he had to take it up. Nobody said anything about that. So it really, in that case, is just what Paul and Prue see.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end.
It's not cheating. It's just working within the framework of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very clear that it was going to come down to George and Amanda as it related to who was going home, because their food wasn't even that great. So it's not like it just didn't look good. I mean, Paul Hollywood was worried that George's wasn't even cooked. And George had to reassure him that he tested it at 3 different levels, that it came out to 90 degrees Celsius, which I don't even know what that means in terms of Fahrenheit. And so now you're worried that you just got all the judges sick on top of that.
Well, the thing is, and this is the deal.
Because it was pork.
Yeah, this is the deal about these pot pies. the meat is crammed together, and the meat never sees the light of day. So the meat is opaque. It's not like it's like with us, like it's been browned or something like that. It goes in completely raw. Thus, the bacon is cooked through, but still soft.
Gross.
And it's the same with the pork. Like I even said to you, pork shouldn't be that light.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
not that
like,
grayish pink.
Yeah.
So for the first time all season, we had a female star baker. Shout out Christelle, both on our team. Huge win. Her family, after the fact, just screamed into the phone when she told him she was star baker. And when she submitted her, and I kind of put the cart before the horse, when she submitted her showstopper, Paul said, "Did you see this over here?" And like she went white. And I thought, oh my God, she left a piece of like the pie tin in the pie.
Yeah.
And she walked over just terrified, and he stuck his hand out and gave her a showstopper handshake, which is just like...
I've never seen a showstopper handshake.
Never in my life.
Yeah. No,
never in my life.
So here's how it made me feel. It made me well up because she really believed, and I believed the way they edited that. I believed that like she'd done something wrong.
She left a tooth in there or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just so excited for a female to win.
Yeah, which is saying something.
You know, I mean, and our options are, I mean, we just have 3 and Amanda's one of them, sadly, you know.
So Christelle won Star Baker, which was awesome to see. It was awesome to see her get a handshake at the showstopper. Everybody was floored by that, as everybody should have been. And then it was down to Amanda and George, and I wrote, finally, Amanda was sent home. And it seemed like everybody...
You wanted Amanda to go home on
It's not that I wanted her to go home. It's just that you're not doing anything well. Like, you struggle every single challenge. I could make the argument up until the showstopper, this was her best performance all season. But then she did what Amanda does, and that's just completely botched the entire thing. And, you know, with only 7 participants left, you can't really look around. And especially the guys are just leaps and bounds. It feels like better than everybody else. You don't really have anywhere to hide. And you needed George to have a real big misstep, and he came close to it, but I don't think it wasn't as big as hers, because her food didn't taste that great either. And so she was sent home.
I do want to give a little baby shout out, because I thought it was clever. And because this kind of cooking that we did this week really was out of Lizzie's comfort zone. But Lizzie cooked cooked potatoes, sliced them, and then took a fish cookie cutter and cut out fish and lined her tureen with these potato-shaped fish, and then had salmon in each of the corners and a spinach mixture in each of the corners, so it looked like a checkerboard around fish.
It was cool.
It was so cool, and it looked delicious. And they liked it. I mean, they said, good job.
Big time.
So I thought it was super creative, and I loved the little fish thing, and there might be a cutout of a fish in something you eat someday, Kevin.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Nice little treat. Only 4 weeks left. 6 contestants remain. 2 of our 3 are still in the mix, but I'm telling you what, it looks like it might be an all-guy final. And I'm thinking if that's going to be the case, it's going to come down to mano e Germano, with your Italian going up against my German guy, with Chigs being the outside horse. That's what it looks like right now. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we are able to get your Giuseppe in with my Jurgen, and we both get Christelle, and then it just is what it is. But that's what it's looking like.
I'm hoping that the final 3, I think Jurgen's already done it, unless Jurgen just really screws up somewhere.
Oh, it'd have to be bad.
My ideal final 3 would be like Lizzie, Giuseppe, and Christelle, or Chigs, Giuseppe, and Christelle. Giuseppe and Christelle for sure, and not only because I've picked them. I just adore both of them the more they're on the screen.
This is the part of the show that I hate the most, which is I really only have one more I'm not going to care if they go home, and that's George.
Yeah, me too.
After that, it's gonna suck.
Okay, then the other thing I'm going to say about this episode, and I'm just going to say it, there were a couple incidences, go rewatch it if you want, because I'm not going to tell you where they were, where Prue first said something that was so X-rated. And
had some sexual undertones to it.
She had no idea
Zero.
what she said. And the guys lost their minds.
With just a bunch of children.
I mean, Paul Hollywood tried
breathe.
so hard to hold it together. And then if you go to sitting at the table at the end, Paul Hollywood says something, and again realized what he said. I mean, I don't know if Prue got it. Certainly Noel and Matt got it. But there are a couple things that you just are perfect if you pick up on this. And the editing let it all through. So kudos to them.
All right, Deborah, talk to the people. As we all know, there are a lot of people who are switching jobs right now. And some of them are going back into the workforce. Some of them are changing industries entirely. Some of them are going to work for themselves. But if an individual is going to go work for a new employer or a new manager or anything along those lines, tell us the questions they should be asking before they even go and start the position.
So we talk a lot here. And in fact, we had a really good conversation over gluten-free pumpkin pancakes this morning.
We did.
About communication and about how easy it would be if people would just work hard to communicate better and to adapt to other people, right? And so if you think about it, it doesn't matter what kind of job experience you have. When you're new, I mean, I always say being new sucks. It just does. Because even though you might know about the industry, even though you might know about your job in particular, you don't know necessarily how that department or that company functions. So one of the things that I think people just wait, and I don't think you need to wait. I think this is like on day one, you've landed the job. I think you get to go sit down at your boss's desk and ask them, I'm just going to say over the day, these questions. And I think it's going to put you miles ahead. So I think one of the things to ask, number one, is really, how do you like to communicate? Because I know people will, like the job that I have, I usually have my phone with me. I wear an Apple Watch, so it's paired with my phone. But I'm not sitting in front of a computer looking at emails all day. Emails are too much information. I look at emails in the morning. I look at emails in the afternoon. And so, we're talking about potentially remote people, potentially people in an office, but not where you have constant access. So is it emails? Is that how you like to communicate? Is it text? Is that how you like to communicate? Is it Slack? Is it some inner office communication tool? Like, what is it? And then I think the other part of it is, what is it ordinarily? And then what is it like if it's kind of urgent, right? Because for me, I think I would say it's just text always, because that pops up on my phone. I'm probably the one that determines whether it's urgent or not. But for me, it's text all day long. And I would rather, and I say it to people all the time, text me, text me, text me.
I like people who leave voicemails that say, if you want to get a hold of me, text me at this phone number.
Yeah, you know who does that?
Who?
Our friend Brant in Wyoming.
That's great. My friend Amy does it too. I thought that was spot on. That's how you should respond. And it's just a mental thing. I don't necessarily have time to remember that somebody left a voicemail, that I'm going to go then into the voicemail and listen to the voicemail. But if you shoot me a text, because everybody, for the most part, minus Dad, is always on their text threads, they're at least going to see it. And if they forget it, when they open the text back up, they'll be reminded that, oh, there's a text that I need to go respond to.
And what you've just told, you've told everybody like your own priority.
Yep.
That you will look at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if I'm sitting with a client, my phone is upside down. I don't look at it, but my watch will buzz so I can kind of see, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have been known to sneak away and take a phone to the restroom, but that's not the most efficient way. Second question is, who should I meet with outside of our team? And I think that's just like, who is important to us, right? I mean, like, don't make me work here a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months to know, like in some businesses, I'm important to them. Not a lot, but a few. And so, if they consider me part of their working team, which that does happen in a number of businesses I work with, it would be like, oh, you should know Deb. Let me get you on a Zoom with her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then explain who I am. Because I think your ability to influence others and know the game, if you will, is predicated on who is important to us, right? I also think it's such a good question because I think a lot of bosses and managers may not have actually thought about it. Like, who outside of our team could we not live without?
That makes sense.
Do you like that?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, what it does is it allows you to establish a relationship with somebody else in a different department, which should be mutually beneficial to both of you, right? But then it gives you another lifeline should you need it, should nobody else be available per the communication topic that we talked about, to where if you can just walk across the hall to Theo in accounting because you know that Theo's your guy, then you can just have the quick one-off as opposed to waiting for somebody else to get back to you. I think that's great.
Or trying to figure out a myriad of people, some who may be competent and some who may be not, who are sitting in accounting,
Love
right? I think the third question that I like is, how can I support the team and add value? So I think that question, probably a version of that question, is asked in the interview process. But it's a new day. You're here now. You've landed. You are physically present, even if you're remote. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You're present. And so I think what it does is it helps you to clarify your role once again. They get to say, what it is you do. It gets to align your expectations so you know right away what they want from you. And then it prioritizes your responsibilities according to them. And so I just think it's a fair question to ask. And I think that question, I'm going to say above all others, would really stimulate a good conversation with you and the boss, because you get to reaffirm again the job that you've taken and what you think you're going to do, right? Now that you've really landed there.
Absolutely.
Question number 4. What would you do today if you were in my shoes?
Oh, like on day one, boss man, what would you do if you're day one employee, Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And here's the reason I think that's a fun question is I had a situation like this. I recently said to somebody, I'm really, really sorry because I forgot what it was like to not know.
Oh, true.
And so I had asked somebody to do something. I want to say it was a B+, A-. So it was perfectly acceptable. Everything they did was really, really good. But there were a couple little misses. The misses were actually my fault because I didn't tell them enough of what I wanted them to do and explain what it looked like. And I probably need to provide them with some more training as well. So I think when you ask that question, the boss gets to put themselves literally in your shoes and go, okay, what is it like to be them? I know when people on day one, I always say to them, hey, being new sucks, doesn't it? And they always go, yes. And I feel like that is a good icebreaker because they feel so out of water, in those first few days. But I feel like if the boss can just for a moment insinuate himself into your shoes and go, yeah, I wouldn't know this. I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know this. Maybe I need to provide a tour. Maybe I need to put him under the wing of so-and-so. You suddenly can, I think, accelerate some stuff, while also I think that forges, if that's a good conversation, that forms a nice bond with your boss.
Do you know what I hear when I hear that question is you allow your boss the opportunity to mentor you in the way they themselves would have liked to have been mentored. Meaning, hey, I know it's been a while since you've probably done this job, or if you've never done this job, but what did you like prior that people in this position had done before? So now they get to think back on things they liked, things they didn't like, and what they want you, the new version, to do moving forward. So now you're kind of building in some business solutions in the form of a question of, on day one, what are the things that resonate most with my boss that they want to see accomplished, that they want me to become fluent at? Because down the road, there's definitely going to be some more stuff added to it. But the day one stuff, that's the stuff you get to look back at them and say like, hey, on day one, I asked you the question, what do you want me to do? How do you see me fulfilling this opportunity? What are the questions, the things that I should be asking the people that I should be interfacing with? Because all of that was from your boss.
Agreed. I think and this was a conversation we had this morning, which I think is super, super important. The more that you can align with the people that you work with and with your boss, the more you can genuinely meet each other's needs. If at some point, and this is me, if somebody is passive aggressive with me, if somebody is not fully disclosing with me, if somebody attempts to micromanage me, I am telling you, I am like a beat golden doodle over in the corner. I just sit and, hunker down and you get nothing out of me. I'm the worst.
Even though the tail's still kind of wagging, but it's a
Maybe
very
wagging,
sad
but
wag.
It's a sad
Yeah.
wag. And my head is down. And then it's hard to get me to interact with you again because I just view you as kind of like not safe. So one of the things I will say to people, like, so I'm not very good with passive aggressive. I'm not very good with, micromanaging. I mean, I read all that stuff. I mean, listen, you may not intend for me to think that you don't trust me because you micromanage me, but guess what? That's what I think. I mean, I can't stop myself from thinking that. And so the more we share those kinds of things, the more we get it right. Like I said to you, I don't like big public recognition. It's just uncomfortable and awkward.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I do like when somebody says, just one person that was involved in a project or in, whatever it was I did, hey, good job on that. That I really love and appreciate. And then guess what I become? I become that little golden doodle that will like do things for you all day long because I'm just so happy, right? I mean, I will work and work and work and work. That's what inspires me.
I know why you don't like that thing.
What thing?
When somebody calls you out in like a big group setting.
Why?
Because it feels comparative. It feels like even though I'm not saying to the rest of you, you didn't do as good of a job, I'm letting you know that you didn't do as good of a job as Deb. And I'm saying it to all of you. No criticism, but understand that my expectations now are of the Deb kind. And that doesn't feel fair. And that puts a weird spotlight on you because I'm the exact same way. Like, I know a lot of people would say, Kevin, you don't like the spotlight? No, that has nothing to do with it. I thoroughly enjoy the spotlight. It's weird when other people put the spotlight on you when you're in the same field or industry as other people, because now it just feels somewhat combative. So I 1,000% understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And so, but I appreciate all day long. Good job on that. I mean, if I did a good job, right? I also appreciate constructive criticism when the person isn't emotional. If they're emotional, then I tag into that. But I think these 4 questions, and this is the bow on it, I think what it does is it's a little speed dating. I'm not going to lie, for you two to get to know each other now, really as a boss and employee, not as an employer and potential applicant. It's a way for you to accelerate things, move them a little bit forward in terms of expectations and priorities. And I think it helps you find your space faster.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. If you're starting a new job, which we know a ton of people are, there's 2 things you should do. You should have written down all of these points from Deb and apply them on the very first day.
Yep.
And then you should bake in time off, stuff that you've already had on the quote unquote calendar that you are going to work into your schedule. Every single employer says, okay. Rarely do they say you're going to have to use PTO for that because they know that you don't have any accrued. But if you just say, hey, I have these 2 trips planned in the next 6 months, they usually just say, great. They're so happy that you're working, they don't care.
See, I think you should do that in the interview process.
Oh, sure. I mean, but just do it whenever.
Yeah.
You throw that out there.
Get that in there.
Yeah.
Because if they like you, I promise you, they don't care.
Nope.
But if you're well into it and then you ask for it, they care.
Absolutely.
So do it when they don't care.
Okay, Deborah, usually Dear Debbie is 2/3 business, 1/3 fun. Because it's Hallows Eve, we are going 3/3 fun. Is that mathematically correct? I don't know. I don't do math. Question number 1.
Yes.
Although this question isn't necessarily fun, but it is Halloween centric. Could be creepy depending on how you want to take it.
Okay.
Dear Debbie, please help me. I wasn't sure how to handle an uncomfortable situation last Halloween, and your answer will help me be better prepared this year. I took my 4-year-old daughter and 2-year-old niece trick-or-treating. We only walk up walkways that are well lit. As we approached one house, an older gentleman was waiting at the open door, handing out candy to the kids. Before I could process what was happening, he whipped out a camera and took a picture of my daughter and niece. I was not comfortable with it at all, but what could I have possibly done or said without being rude? Our neighborhood is a safe area, but in this day and age, you can't trust anyone. Do you think it was inappropriate for an older man to take pictures of someone's children? What would be the proper way to handle it this year?
Interesting.
Right?
Whipped out a camera?
Maybe the term whipped out wasn't right, but clearly took out a camera and took photos of the girls.
This is one of these things where times have changed. If somebody would have whipped out a camera when you went up to their doorstep in your clothes, not your costume.
Who is this child who just came from recess?
I wouldn't have thought much about it, honestly. I mean, but I understand today with social media and that picture can just go 1,000 places.
Oh, see, I think you're thinking of that like way too millennial brain. She's thinking like, is this dude storing these photos of my kids?
And doing weird things with them.
Right.
No. That's what I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
So I think today's world is different, meaning that is what you're worried about. Now, but there is a piece of me, like let's say a 2-year-old in a little honey bear outfit and a 4-year-old and a frozen princess outfit, right? I'm like, I mean, what is the really, what is the neighbor going to do with it? I don't know. But I mean, I guess I don't want my kids' faces out there. I think it's hard to say, and especially if it's a camera, not
like
your
a hardcore
phone.
camera. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hard to say, something because I do think there's the feeling like it's a grandpa kind of guy that just thinks they're adorable and wants to show the picture to somebody,
Sure.
right? I want to say, though, they don't know them. It feels a little weird. And unless it's a digital camera and you can delete that thing, I don't know. I mean,
I think you're right. If this was the 50s, we would just be like, oh, this person's in the 50s doing 50s era stuff.
Because we ate homemade food on Halloween in the 50s.
Which is insane. Absolutely insane, by the way. But you're right. It's weird that a guy just has a normal camera. That's bizarre to me. It's weird that he's taking photos of children that he has no affiliation with other than they're frequenting his doorstep. And it's also weird that he's not like doing anything public with them. Like, wouldn't it be cool if 24 to 48 hours later, he had made signs of like all the kids who had trick-or-treated in the neighborhood and he put them up there as just like 1 week of remembrance. Like, that'd be cool. It's like little give back to the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
Kind of weird, but cool. The problem societally is we look at this and we say, first off, that's an invasion of privacy. Like we signed up for candy. We didn't sign up for a photo shoot. And second off, you immediately go to what weird place on the internet are my kids going to end up? And it's usually not Instagram, right? If that is the concern, which clearly it is from this woman, you just avoid the house. In no way do you ever go back to that house.
No, you go to the house. I'll tell you what you do.
Oh, God, here we go.
No, I've got it. I've got the easy answer. No confrontation, no fighting.
Deb just has a poster board that says, do not take photos of my kids.
I don't care what costumes those two, I think they were girls, right?
They were.
Those two girls wear ever again. You go get a full mask. And right as you go up to that door, you say, sweetie, we've got to wear the mask at this house.
Yeah.
You put the masks on both of them. They are not identifiable by any way, shape, or measure. And they walk up and he takes a picture and...
Girls, surprise, you're going as Squid Game soldiers for Halloween. Masks always stay on.
Masks always stay on.
Yeah, that's a really weird situation. I think it's super uncomfortable and your brain clearly goes to the worst case scenario as opposed to like, maybe this guy's just super lonely and he looks forward to any type of human interaction at all. We all know somebody like that. The photo is an outlier for sure. But if it's a super big concern, what I would say is, yes, you either embrace Squid Game or you give your little daughter who's going as a fairy a Mike Myers mask for that particular house.
Exactly.
Or you just avoid the house altogether.
Yeah. I don't think there's a confrontation there that's...
No, heck no. If you feel like you need to confront the guy, don't go to the house.
Not over Halloween.
No.
Not over Halloween.
Dear Debbie, my son announced he was invited to a Halloween party, which he fully intends to attend. I told him he is nuts for taking such a big chance, especially since I know the guy throwing the party and I can guarantee it will be an overcrowded mess. My son assures me he'll be careful, but I have already told him I do not want him around his mother and me for at least 2 weeks after he has been in what I consider a very risky environment. Am I overreacting? I think the tone of this is more COVID related.
Is this an adult child?
Well, initially what I assumed was you had written this about 10 years ago to the person I stole this question from, and I just somehow stumbled upon it. But the last part lends me to believe that it's more COVID related, meaning there's going to be a groundswell of people, nobody social distancing, nobody wearing masks. Whether or not anybody's vaccinated, I have no idea. But knowing what we know now about society and how I already canceled the pandemic because we have toilet paper, what would you say to somebody who's going to a party where this person believes it could be dangerous after the fact? Like there could be a spike.
Well, there's some assumptions I'm making.
Yep.
The fact that the father would feel comfortable saying, you're not going to see your mother and I for 2 weeks, leads me to believe that this person lives on his own, doesn't live with them.
Correct.
Okay.
So maybe this wasn't you.
So it wasn't me. What I thought, though, before we got to that part, like if it was a 16-year-old and the father, the part about where he said it's going to be crowded, and I was like, well, what 16-year-old doesn't want to go to that part?
So you're saying it sounds awesome, Dad?
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of like, you're kind of a curmudgeon dad. Honestly, if it's the COVID thing and if that really is a worry of the parents, then, I think the dad begrudgingly probably gave the right advice. Like, if you're going to go to a party like that where I don't feel like there is appropriate precautions taken for COVID, then do us a favor, 10 days away or 2 weeks, whatever it is, away from mom and I, just to ensure, and then we'll see after that. That's not a big deal.
Am I overreacting? You're overreacting to your what feels like adult child making their own decisions, but you played it right. You said, hey, you go to this party. I think it's going to be an absolute S-storm, and I think there could be some fallout from it. So if you go, like you can't see your mom and I for 2 weeks. As far as I'm concerned, that's 1,000% level-headed. You get to establish that boundary. And then after 2 weeks, if there's no symptoms and they're fine, then you welcome your kid back in. Your overreaction is thinking that you can police your adult child into doing something they don't want to do, which is avoiding that party. All anybody wants to do between the ages of like 21 and 45 is go party. That's all anybody wants to do right now. It was taken from them for like the better part of 2 years, and they all want to go. And if they have their vaccination, if they keep social distance normal, and they want to roll the dice this one time, I think we all can agree that you have the opportunity to roll the dice and be as safe or unsafe as you want. There's nobody here who doesn't understand the ramifications of that.
Right. It's no different. It's kind of like work. Everybody has different policies, but basically it's like if you're vaccinated and you got exposed to somebody with COVID and you know it, you go to your boss, you tell them. Some bosses say, hey, sit out for 3 days, then take a COVID test so we can see.
Yep.
In most cases, if you're vaccinated, it's like as long as you're symptom-free, continue working, and then take a COVID test if you think there's a problem.
Yep.
If you're unvaccinated, people are having people stay home for a week, have people stay home for 10 days. You have to have a negative COVID test before you come back to work. But I think if the parents are worried for themselves, a protocol like that is reasonable.
Totally.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Just stop caring about what your adult kid's doing.
Well, and quit judging the party.
Yeah.
Because he put a judgment on the party that was completely unnecessary.
And your judgment is the exact reason everybody's going to Cool Ted's party.
It's exactly right.
Yeah, we call him CT in the streets, Cool Ted. Dear Debbie, I have a health freak girlfriend who is insisting we hand out the veggie chips and vegan snack packs she spent a bundle on to the neighborhood trick-or-treaters. I bought 2 mega bags of those little candy bars that my mom always bought and handed out on Halloween. I'm trying to convince my girlfriend our house will get egged if we try and give out her treats. She insists I return mine to the store, but I'm not going to do that and risk pissing off every kid in the 6-block radius. Do you think trick-or-treaters deserve real treats?
I'm with him 100%.
Oh my God, yes.
But I don't mind. So here's the thing that I think would actually be super cute. I think it would be super cute if she did hers and he did his.
Yeah.
They put both of them in. Because as a mom, then I'm going to take that thing and go, okay, that's going in your lunchbox next week, right? And it would, make me chuckle that it was a healthy thing. I would kind of love it, when I'm going through the treats.
Plus, it's going to be funny when you wake up in the morning and you see a huge pile of veggie snacks in your front porch because nobody actually wanted them.
Because they dropped them in the yard on the way out. But, telling him to return them, come on. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, and the vegan part of it, I get it.
Oh wait, which role do you think this person is? I assumed it was the.
I assumed the guy had the candy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it said she. She has.
I assumed the guy had the candy. I just think, like, listen, unless it's really some high, big moral ground for you, you know, on the vegan aspect, forget it. I can't be the health police for other people's children.
No.
But on the vegan aspect, then here's what I would say. Guess what's not vegan? Sugar. Do you know what I mean? Like, give them a treat. That's what they want.
But here's where, and this is.
There's vegan candy.
But here's a societal thing.
Yeah.
Halloween is meant for kids to dress up and go door to door to get candy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And as an adult, not a single person is telling you that you have to participate in it if you don't feel comfortable with it. The comfort comes in you wanting to either dress up yourself or at the very least turn your porch light on and hand out candy. If handing out candy isn't your thing, you turn the porch light off, you go upstairs, you turn the rest of the lights off in the house, and nobody's going to come.
Yep.
And they're still going to go get sugar at every other house. You offering them veggie chips or a vegan snack isn't going to all of a sudden have one kid say, you know what? These carrots are better than candy. I'm going to throw the rest of these Reese's away. Just stop trying to put your own spin on something that everybody universally already agrees is fine. Let's be more worried about razor blades in candy and people giving away THC candy than whether or not the kid is going to be healthy eating something we've all societally agreed on they can eat unhealthy for one night.
Hey, listen, I think I've told this story before. I had the neighbor that grilled burgers in his driveway.
Amazing.
And everybody loved it. You could smell them coming. I mean, it was a little cheeseburger for every kid. And it was like, especially on the cold nights, that hot little thing. I mean, we loved it. A homemade burger. We loved it. But unless you're going to do something radical, which would be totally inappropriate today.
Yes.
Nobody's going to eat the homemade burger. I get that. But I'm just telling you, like, nobody wants your healthy snack either.
I agree. Keep that vegan stuff to yourself. Give the kids some poison candy in the form of diabetes.
I know there's a good vegan gummy bear out there. Do it.
Who cares? Buy real gummy bears. I have 3 fun Halloween facts for you, okay? Do you know how many pounds of candy corn are produced each year? Just guess. Shot in the dark.
Oh, my God. Candy corn.
Yep.
We only have it this time of year, right? I mean,
for the most part,
find it? Is this like for the world?
It just says candy corn in a year, so I would assume so.
How many pounds?
Based on the amount.
I'm going to go 500,000 pounds.
More. Way more.
2 million pounds.
More.
10 million pounds?
More.
Well, I don't know.
35 million pounds of candy corn, which comes out to 9 billion individual pieces of candy corn. Listen, I know it's cool to poop on candy corn. I love candy corn. I'll eat candy corn all day.
Oh, do you? So
I'll eat it all day.
I don't care about candy corn, but I will tell you.
I like the chew.
It's a receptacle for sugar.
Totally.
So I'll eat it.
Absolutely.
You know? But if there's a bunch of candy around, candy corn's not going to be my go-to.
Do you know on average how much money Americans spend on Halloween?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
$2.6 billion.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
That's crazy.
And here's the fact that I love the most. In the average trick-or-treat pail, sometimes it's a pillowcase, sometimes it's a pumpkin. How many calories are in the average child's pumpkin-based trick-or-treat bag?
I'm going to say 25,000 calories.
Ooh, Deb, a little too high. 11,000.
Oh, I was going to go with 10, but then I thought, oh, it's got to be more.
11,000.
Yeah.
All right, Deb. That was our Halloween edition of Dear Debbie and some fun facts that you can use on your friends later on. Why don't you tell us what you are thankful for this week?
I'm thankful for a couple things.
Okay.
I came home just in time to get the best fall colors and the best weather on the planet. It is absolutely amazing to me. And all of these plants have been shipped in for centuries. I'm not going to lie. Northern Nevada has the perfect climate for color. It's just that naturally none of these plants are home, to Northern Nevada. But because people bring them in, the colors are absolutely vibrant. I'm so happy to be here. I can't bear it.
Yep.
Looking out in the windows in the morning makes me so happy. So I am happy for that. I'm also I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful because Daddy started immunotherapy this week, and he has been wanting this for a long time. The first day went great. The second day after, he felt pretty good. Today was kind of
not a great day.
Not so good. I did give him some nausea medicine. It seems to have helped a little bit, but still, I think the process of the immunotherapy, he's excited for this part of the journey. So I'm grateful that that has started.
We love that. My thankful, and I know we've been giving a lot of people shout outs who don't listen to this podcast during this episode. Shout out the waiter last week who saw me, no mask, no costume. My friend's girlfriend said, "How old do you think this guy is?" And the waiter, without flinching, dead face said, "I don't know, like 22. Shout out that waiter. Shout out that waiter for allowing me to feel so good about myself being 15 years younger in his head. It was so wonderful. I text every single person that I knew about that.
Yay.
I felt so wonderful to be 15 years younger. And on top of it, I'm an astronaut. So everything is coming up, Kev. And my second thankful is yesterday, I updated my Mac with the new Monterey operating system from Apple. The thing went black screen on me.
Oh, no.
I looked at you and I said, I don't know that we're going to have a podcast, let alone I even have a computer anymore. I called my friend Zach, who is a former Apple genius. He now manages the Apple store. So like the come up is real with our guy, Zach. He called me, walked me through everything. We got to a page where he said, and when you get to this page, this is what you're going to do. I sent him a photo of it and he goes, I've never seen that before.
Wow.
The Apple genius had never seen what was happening on my computer. So he gave me a couple more things to troubleshoot. I ended up having to do a hard reset on my computer, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I ended up cleaning some stuff out. I added everything back. We're clearly podcasting, which is good. Sheer terror in that moment.
Of course.
Sheer unbelievable terror in that moment. And then we use a service called Ecamm where we record this podcast for video that we put up on Tuesdays. When I downloaded the new Monterey operating system, I pulled up Ecamm just to make sure that everything was working. Our imagery was so pixelated and so bad and nothing worked well. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what happened. Like there's something broken within my computer now because I had to do this hard reset. I now no longer have access to Ecamm, this thing that we pay for and this thing that allows me to create content and put it up on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I just cold emailed Ecamm. Now they have hundreds of thousands of people who use their service. And I said, here's what's happened. Here's my problem. I have no idea if you can help me. And there's so many configurations that go into, streaming that they could have looked at me and been like, dude, this could have been 1,000 different things. Why would you just think it's our service? They got back to me within an hour. The woman said, we've heard about this. Here's a link to our beta program. Please click on this. Use it. Let us know if it works or not. Thank you. Click the link. Works perfectly. That's what we're using right now until Ecamm develops a patch for the new Monterey update. And I just helped Ecamm better understand the problem. And I responded back to them, everything that was good. And here we are. So if you think even in 2021, big tech, that nobody will ever help you, just shoot your shot. Send it out there, even if you think it's going into the abyss, and somehow you'll get it right back. And that's what happened to me.
I love that. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ecamm, for
Thank
having
you,
good customer service.
Zach. Thank you, Ecamm. But more importantly, thank you, waiter.
Oh, thank you, waiter.
Thank you, waiter.
For sure.
All right, Deb, why don't you tell us what's for this Hallows Eve dinner?
So I have been traveling, as everybody knows, and it's always interesting when I'm gone, as long as I've been gone, I come back to the house and there's a whole new food is in the house.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Everything's been recycled. Both you and Dad separately, by the way, went out and bought incredibly diverse types of giant bags of candies.
Makes no sense.
No.
I bought all the chocolate candies, right?
The
So the
good stuff.
Reese's, the
Yeah.
Snickers,
Yeah.
the Kit Kat bars, the Twix,
Yeah.
all that stuff. The
Yep.
stuff I know he likes. And I know he likes it because I had to hide it from him.
Yep.
I put it in the upper cabinet. He came back last week and he had a huge bag of like the gummy stuff, of the gummy bears, of the Sour Patch Kids,
Yeah.
of the Starbursts. He doesn't even like that stuff
know,
for the
it's
most
weird.
part. It was beyond my comprehension that he bought that. And my only thought was he bought this because he won't snack on it as much as the other stuff that's hidden from him right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm committed to return one of the bags.
Yeah, as you should be.
Because it's too much and we don't get that many trick-or-treaters. However, I just not wanting to go to Costco yet, avoiding that until I have to. I had to scour the house and see what we had. So there's you know how we've done the beef broccoli, the Asian dish, the beef broccoli before?
Very much so.
We're going to do a chicken broccoli.
Oh, yum.
But I found a recipe that had a Chinese 5-spice in it, which I love that because it's really, it's an intense flavor.
Yeah.
But
adds a depth to it.
It has a good depth to it. So we're going to do chicken broccoli tonight and served over rice. And I think it's going to be a really good sauce. It's like a basic, kind of has the ingredients of a teriyaki with a little oyster sauce and then a little bit of the Chinese 5-spice. I think it's going to be great.
Do you think it would be good in a terrine?
No,
okay.
I don't.
Okay. I was going to ask you to make a terrine, but I guess just the chicken and broccoli would be okay.
I would, truthfully, if I thought it would be good, I would have made it in the terrine and decorated it as well.
I love that. That is going to do it for this Monday's episode of the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like, rate, and review wherever you listen to this show. And just go ahead and like, rate, and review because you're happy Deb's back and we're not having to do this via Skype. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us on all of our social channels at Deb and Kev Pod. And this episode where I am wearing what I should have been, my astronaut's outfit, you can watch it at our YouTube channel at Deb and Kev Pod. Mom, super duper happy that you're home.
Honey, I couldn't be happier. I have slept like a dream in my own bed with my own pillow. It has been heavenly.
I love you to death.
Love you, baby.
We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.